2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
This year continues to get more and more crazy, off the wall, wild, and entertaining every single day. Hey, welcome into the show on a Wednesday, the pre-Friday, the post Monday celebration right here on the show. It is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship station, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We have a heck of a show lined up for you today. This year continues to become more crazy, more wild than anything I've ever seen in my entire life. First things first, starting to feel a little bit better. That's good news. Pretty sure it's not COVID, because if it were, then I probably would still not be feeling well. But we are still doing well. So I realized last night that we finally just had to pull all the guns right now. We had to pull everything out and just say enough is enough. And I hate taking medicine. I don't take a whole lot of medicine. And I still sound a little bit stuffy, but I actually feel great today. And you know what the trick was? Lots of NyQuil and the wet sock treatment, if anybody knows what that even is. If you don't, you should talk to Mrs. Voice of Reason, because she has all these cool little tricks and tips on how to get rid of colds and flus or whatever else that you may have. But the cold sock the cold sock treatment is at nighttime, right before you go to bed. You take a hot shower, or you soak your feet in like really hot water, and you have a bowl of some really thin socks that you put in ice water, and you have those socks there. Then you have some really insulated socks that you have next to them as well, ready to go. So when you get out of the shower, or you get done soaking your feet in the really hot water, you put on the icy cold thin socks on your feet. Then you put the really heavy duty, like insulated, that you like go camping with or hunting or whatever, and you put those insulated socks over top of the cold ones, and you go to bed. I don't know what it does. I don't know how it does it, but it does it. And I woke up this morning outside between that and the NyQuil last night, and I feel absolutely fantastic. A little congested, but nonetheless still feel absolutely great today. So I'm ready to go back at it, and it's been a wild couple of days. Now, I was thinking, because as many were concerned, Andy, it might be COVID. You might have COVID, might need to go get tested. If you do have COVID, or if I had COVID, then the basic cold remedy solves it. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, the NyQuil and the wet sock treatment. Sucked it right out. I don't know if I have COVID. Don't think I have. I'm pretty sure I don't. Nowhere to really get it other than just sitting in the radio studio for 10 hours a day. But if it is, then you know what? The basic cold treatment will get rid of it. Now, the concerning part-ish is that Mrs. Voice of Reason now woke up this morning not feeling well at all. Now, she has totally different symptoms. I had the muscle fatigue, kind of had the headache for a couple of days. Again, don't think it's COVID, but she has it. On the other hand, she has a fever and some really bad congestion in her chest and hard breathing. So I don't know where she would have gotten it, but she has a little bit different symptoms than I did. So she's a little worried today. So hopefully we don't. She's thinking about going and getting a test, but nonetheless, again, she still has her sense of taste and smell. So far we should be good to go. But if I did have COVID, the basic cold remedy got rid of it, which is why I'm thinking that we really don't have it. So anyways, back at it, ready to go. Glad I'm feeling well. Thanks for all the kind words for everybody over the last couple of days and the great treatments too. The great ideas to be able to get rid of your cold and flu. I love hearing about these remedies. The natural remedies, I think, are fantastic because you don't need to go to the doctor and be like, doctor, give me something. You can just do it naturally, which is what it's all about. Between the elderberry concentrate, the adult beverages, the green chili, the NyQuil, if you have to at that point, the wet sock treatment, the teas that you can drink. There are so many different natural ways to just boost everything up and get them up and going. So ready to rock and roll here on the show today. It's such a weird year that now we have someone like Matthew McConaughey, according to Newsmax.com, considering running for the governor of the great state of Texas. And that's what we're kicking off today with our What's Trending.
What's trending today?
Now, in an interview that he did on the Hugh Hewitt radio show, when asked about the possibility of making a gubernatorial run, he said, quote, and I'm going to do this in the best Matthew McConaughey voice that I have, politics seem to be a broken business, man, to me right now. And when politics redefine its purpose, I could be a hell of a lot more interested. I want to get back behind personal values to rebind our social contracts with each other as Americans, as people again. I don't know if that's a good Matthew McConaughey nonetheless, but when asked about what he would do as his slogan, it would be like, Texas. All right, all right, all right. See what we did there? That's a joke right there. I don't know why he would want to run, and I mean, look, if you're a celebrity and you have political ideas and you're actually somewhat engaged or involved in politics and involved in current events, then all the power to you, but don't just be one of those where you're just like, totally, I'm running. And then you have no idea what you're doing. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger, unfortunately, did a lot. He was a Republican, but he was a moderate Republican who didn't do a whole lot of really good things, I don't think, in the state of California. In California. I was the governor of California. So we have that. Then we have, of course, the elite Hollywoodites that like to really run their mouth and say really dumb things, and they're the ones that attack Donald Trump all the time. I don't know where Matthew McConaughey stands on the issues, but I would be very wary, personally, if I lived in the great state of Texas, as we have a lot of listeners down in Texas, I would be very concerned that a Hollywood elite, per se, I don't know if it's an elite, a Hollywood-type individual would be running for the governor of Texas. Because his slogan would be like, all right, all right, all right. And I don't know what else he knows about outside of that, but I'm not going to run. The people are going to want me to run. So that, to me, comments like this, typical politician response, I'm not going to run, but if you force me because the people want me to, then I guess I'll just have to break down and do it. Politics seems broken, and it's going to be up to them. It would be up to the people. When asked, would you do it? He said, it wouldn't be up to me. It would be up to the people to tell me to do it. All right. That's the way you want to roll with it. So Matthew McConaughey potentially running for the governor's race in the great state of Texas. We'll see how far that actually goes. A lot of these celebrities just like to say things, and then they don't usually follow through with a lot of them. But we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll actually try and run. That would be like Alec Baldwin trying to become a radio host, and we saw how well that actually worked out for him. Coming up on the program today, we were going to have Brock Pierce, the independent candidate. We had him on last Wednesday talking about being an independent candidate for the presidential run. He was a Hollywood star, entrepreneur, philanthropist. He called last minute and said, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it because I'm in Puerto Rico or wherever he was at. But he can't make it, so we're going to reschedule, get him back on the program another day. So we'll get him on here in the next couple of days or so. So just between you and I, it's just you and I today, hanging out, doing what we do, which is okay because we have a few issues that I need to address, including one that I've really kind of stepped away from for a little bit and tried to talk about some other issues, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of unknowns out there. There's a lot of speculation out there when it comes to the presidential run right now in the presidential election. The media has called it. It is done. It is over. Joe Biden is president-elect according to the mainstream media. I have not yet gone down that road. There is so much voter fraud being presented. There's tons of affidavits being presented. Here's where I'm at with this, however. With all of this done, with listening to other talk shows, listening to Rudy Giuliani, listening to these attorneys come out with statements, be on other shows, and with their statements, here's where I'm at with this. If they are solely basing the switching of the victory from Joe Biden to Donald Trump solely based on affidavits of people saying that they were not able to actually view and be poll watchers, and the poll watching happen and be observers when they were counting the votes, this is not going to win a Donald Trump presidency for a second term. It's not going to happen. The Pennsylvania courts have already come out and shunned it, even though, yes, it is unconstitutional for them to kick out Republican poll watchers, to be able to not view these counts as they were actually happening in person, be up close and personal, be able to watch the votes and watch the ballots and make sure that they look legit and be able to verify them. That is constitutional. You have to be allowed to do that. And the fact that that wasn't, you're right, is unconstitutional. That's not going to be enough for the courts to say, you know what, you're right. Let's throw out almost 1 million votes in the state of Pennsylvania and the state of Michigan and the state of Arizona and the state of Georgia. It's not going to fly. I'm sorry to say, I would like it to, but that's not going to be enough. If that's their sole argument, is that we weren't able to view these, I mean, they have the cases of the dead people voting, and, you know, we can throw out some of those, but that's not going to be enough to flip the election in any of the states. If they base their argument solely on the poll watchers were not allowed to watch, and we have 300 verified affidavits, okay, that's great. Affidavits are good. Not going to be enough for a state Supreme Court or even the U.S. Supreme Court to come back and say, you know what, you're right, throw out 600,000 votes in the state of Pennsylvania. That is a lot of votes that they don't know whether it's legit, whether it's not legit. They don't want to stamp down someone's voice by saying, let's cast out 600,000 votes in one state just because someone wasn't able to watch them. I would like that, because we don't know whether they're verified or not. They're more than likely shams, but the courts aren't going to look at it that way. I'm not too positive or too optimistic on the front of let's go ahead and throw out 600,000 votes just because someone wasn't able to watch them actually be counted. It would make sense, and constitutionally they kind of had to, but I don't think the courts are going to do that. Just my being realistic. Now, that's not meaning that I've lost hope in any way, shape, or form. If, and this is a big if, the story of the Dominion systems are accurate with what we've heard, with the fact that it was a software company that was built in Venezuela, that has a history of being able to be corrupted for tyrants to be elected, if the servers were, in fact, based out of Germany, which is what we've been hearing as well, if the lawyers that have kind of teased this but haven't said a whole lot about it do, in fact, have been able to go in and take these said servers with a Department of Justice operation along with the military and take these servers and look at them and see how the votes have been flipped and have the algorithm, which they say supposedly they have the algorithm that showed the exact formula that flipped Trump votes to Biden votes all across the nation and every one of these states that they use this system with. If they do, in fact, have all of this information, that is what's going to win the election for President Donald Trump. Now, that is a big far if, because I have not heard anything else other than just the idea of, oh, yeah, these servers were out there and we went and apprehended them and we have this verification and we have these algorithms. Then why, when all of these talk show hosts and these lawyers that are going on different talk shows, radio hosts, radio shows and TV shows and making press statements, why are they talking about, well, these observers weren't allowed to watch the polling be counted? Because that's their focus. Now, maybe I don't know. I don't know what their theory is, but if that's going to be the bread and butter of their case going into the Supreme Court, they're going to lose. I'm just going to throw it out there. In my personal opinion, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the insides of the story. I don't know all the details. Rudy Giuliani is a way smarter guy than I am. However, at the same time, just based on history, what's happened with the courts in the past, having a whole bunch of affidavits of people saying that they've said something does not mean that they're going to say, all right, let's just throw a number out there, 600,000. We're going to cast out these votes and make them completely invalid in these states. To me, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. The only way we're going to win this is if they actually prove these servers were actually apprehended. They can prove that they were corrupted. They were proved that they were hacked. That we can prove that they actually manipulated the vote based on what votes were coming in with these servers, and they had the algorithm to prove that. If they have that, then it's a case closed seal, and we can win this election very easily. But do we have that information? I just don't know. It's been on the outer skirts of people talking about it, with the theories being thrown out there. I'm not saying whether it's legitimate or not, because we don't spread conspiracy theories on here. We just try to speculate and then guess based on the information that we actually have. If they have that, then we can win. If not, I'm a little concerned, because the court cases are not going to say, yeah, all right, you have affidavits saying that they weren't allowed to. In Michigan, they actually boarded up the windows to where observers couldn't actually watch the polling actually happen. So if that's the case, that's fine. But how many votes were actually counted during those times when they weren't allowed to be observed? And how can we legally throw them out without actually having verified that they are the unlegit ones based on the count? I don't know how to do that. There's way smarter people out there to decide that, and maybe there's still a way to be able to push those, but I'm less optimistic on that front. We'll see what happens. More information to come out. Here's the Voice of Reason here on a Wednesday. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
That's the way we roll. Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Wednesday, the pre-Friday, the post Monday celebration right here on the show. Radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. You can find us all over the interweb, radio and TV outlets. Doesn't matter where you're at, how you may be watching or listening to the show. We appreciate you very much. Find us on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also on Parler and on Minds.com. All of it with the handle at Hooser Reason. Again, HOOSER Reason. You can also go to the website at HooserReason.com. So with the comments regarding the election, getting a lot of comments, Facebook and on Podbean and email, all saying, Andy, don't lose faith. I'm not losing faith. Don't worry. I still think Donald Trump won the election. I think he's going to win the election, but they have to do this the right way. I've seen way too many cases where we throw things at them and the courts aren't going to look at it. And affidavits are nice, but affidavits aren't going to prove the number of votes, exactly which ones need to be cast out, how they're going to be cast out, where from they're going to be cast out, and to what number that's actually going to make things official at the end of the day. That's not going to be the game changer right there. Those 300 affidavits of people saying that things happen, that's awesome. That proves that there's something there. Now, how do we whittle that down a number-wise in order to show the courts it's exactly the number that it should be as opposed to the number that it is? I'm not confident in that. Again, though, I think that we do have the Dominion software issue that needs to be looked at seriously. The fact that that software was used in multiple states and they had the algorithm where it just so happened that we had a Biden win just squeak past right at the end of it with the algorithm switching votes. We do have the case of Michigan where the vans are pulling up to the polling places at 4:30 in the morning, unloading a massive amount of ballots. And look at that, Joe Biden just shot right up. I don't know where that happened. So we do have a lot of things to look at still and a lot of investigations going on. So I'm not losing hope. I am just saying, though, because you're right, there are lawyers that are on the line putting their reputations on the line. And if they wouldn't do that unless they thought it was actually important that they could actually win these things. Lawyers don't take cases they don't think they can win. So I get it. I'm just a little concerned about the way that they're approaching that because sometimes in the world of politics, they'll do it to save face, but they're not actually working for anything. And I'm hoping that that's not the case with some of these. I know it's not. Rudy Giuliani's obviously fighting the fight, but how long can you go without it actually going anywhere if the courts continue to shoot it down over and over? But we do have a hole, an ace in the hole, if we have the whole Dominion server thing like we talked about. So anyways, we'll see what happens. I mean, as more information comes out, they said more information would come out this week. Now we have Newsmax and One American News Network both talking about the Dominion servers and the potential of the algorithms that are out there. So it's gone from, it's kind of on the fringe, we're not really sure if it's verified or not, to, okay, seems to be a little bit more secure and more verified with that one. Scrolling through the comments here also. Oh, you want to try the wet sock formula if you do get a call? I'm telling you, it's awesome. It's awesome. It feels very strange, but yet when you're laying in bed and you have the cold, icy socks and then the insulated socks, it feels very unique, and I'm telling you, it helps. I don't know if it helps with COVID, but it definitely helps with cold and flus because it's awesome. I don't know why. I don't know what it does. It's someone said it makes you sweat it out. You'll have to ask Mrs. Voice of Reason. Maybe we'll have her on with some little home tips and remedies, which is actually going to be a part of the Hooser Media Network here very soon with homemade tips, holistic remedies for different medicines or different ways to grow hair or get smoother skin or to be able to get rid of illnesses or whatever. Hooser Health is on the way as well. So Mrs. Voice of Reason is going to be working on some of those projects. I know I kind of leaked a little bit, shouldn't have done that, but I know she's working really, really hard on the back end and making some of this happen. So we'll be releasing some of that here soon, and then she'll be giving some tips right here on the show on semi-frequent occasions. So looking forward to that. Let's take a bottom of the hour break. When we come back, I want to shift gears and not go into the hard politics quite as much today. It's the middle of the week, and I think everybody's kind of burnt out with the presidential elections. We just have to wait and see. Not a whole lot you can do with that one right now. But when we come back, let's talk about some societal issues, shall we? There is a news story that says that video game playing may be a positive thing for individuals and young individuals. So we'll talk about that. Video games, good or bad? not only good or bad, but are they extremely healthy for men and boys? Are they the last outlets? We'll talk about that when we come back. A little bit different and unique perspective when it comes to video game playing that I think gets a very negative reputation across the board because of what's going on in society. We'll do that when we come back here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, you're darn right. Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Wednesday, the pre-Friday, the post-to-post Monday celebration right here on the Voice of Reason, radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time. We're trying. We're doing what we can. Doing our part. The Millennial General reporting for duty today, as usual. Not wearing a mask here in studio. Although it should say no food or drink or mask in studio, because you can't eat, can't drink, and apparently you need to wear a mask all the time. But you can't do that, not in studio. Ain't gonna fly. Although you should be wearing one at home now. You wear one in public. Apparently the governor here in Kansas, while we just went on the air and news broke that here in Kansas they just tried to put in a statewide mask mandate. Right now it's been kind of cities and counties across the state making their own decisions, the way it kind of should be, instead of the big umbrella decision making, because I don't know if you've noticed or not, we've had mask mandates all over the nation that have been forcing people to wear masks, and yet cases continue to rise. Why is that? Is it because we're not wearing masks anymore? Is it just because maybe the masks aren't working the way they should be? Are we saying, again, clarify for me if I'm missing something here. The reason the masks are there is if you cannot social distance. If you can social distance of 6 feet or more, then you don't need a mask, right? That's what I thought. They say don't congregate in large groups of people, but again, if you congregate in large groups of people, either stay 6 feet apart from each other and you're fine, or wear a mask. And even if you do get in front of people in a large group of people, you're near somebody else without wearing a mask, you can do so within like a 9-minute time frame without it potentially spreading to the other person. So that's kind of interesting. But now they want mask mandates, not just when you're at work, not just when you're driving in your car, not just when you're in a large group of people, indoor or outdoors, even outside, but now even if you're in your own home. If you are in your own home, the latest tweet from the Pennsylvania Department of Health and Environment. Now, remember, Pennsylvania is under the recount and under scrutiny for their elections because they're run by Democrats. The Pennsylvania Department of Health tweeted out yesterday, strengthening mask order. Masks are still required. Indoors. Masks are now required anytime you're with people outside of your household, even if you're socially distant. Okay. Applies to all indoor facilities and if you have people in your home that are not part of your household. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have mask mandates telling you to wear a mask in your home if you have guests in your home, because that's going to be totally enforceable. I'm waiting for the cops to knock on my door. Mr. Randy, yes? Do you have someone in your home? Yeah, we have some friends over today. Are you wearing masks? No, I am not. Well, then come with me, sir. You need to go to the precinct. It's unbelievable how far we've actually come in the world today, have we not? How do you enforce something like this? There are two questions that everybody should ask whenever someone presents a bill. When you hear a politician say, we're going to do this, there are two things you should ask. How are you going to enforce it, and how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to enforce it? Well, we're going to have law enforcement actually stop the domestic abuse case that they're working on with someone, I don't know, beating someone else in a home. We're going to stop that one because we need to call and actually take them to another home where they're not wearing a mask. We've had people die for this nation to try and keep it free, and now we're not allowed to go without wearing a mask in our own home if you have a guest over, even if the guest's like, yeah, you know what, I don't need a mask, or yeah, you know what, I'm not too terribly worried about it. Now we have to worry about wearing a mask in your home without the law enforcement coming down and beating down your door and dragging you out, because that's the world that we live in now today. Now, real quickly, too, on an update when it comes to some of the social media censoring these things when we try to question them, because heaven forbid we actually do that as well. Yesterday, as you know, with any political post and even non-political posts on social media, especially from Donald Trump, he would tweet out like, oh, we're actually going to have the wreaths on the Arlington Cemetery stones this year because that's what we do. And underneath it was like, Joe Biden is the president-elect of the United States. Well, today, coming out, he did tweet something about the election, and it said, this was kind of, I guess we could do this as a what's trending. Let's do this as a what's trending today.
What's trending today?
What's trending today? President Donald Trump did come out with a tweet earlier. This was a rigged election. No Republican poll watchers allowed. Voting machine glitches all over the place, meaning they got caught cheating. Voting and after election ended, and so much more. Now, as I mentioned in the first part of the show today, that if that's going to be the entire argument, we're not going to win. We need something more substantial than that, even with affidavits showing that we weren't allowed to actually be there to observe the poll or the vote counting, which is constitutional. You're allowed to do that. And the fact that they didn't allow that means that it is unconstitutional, but that's not going to be a winning ticket in order to throw out almost 1 million votes nationwide. However, regardless of that fact, Donald Trump tweeted that underneath it was no longer the Joe Biden is the president-elect of the United States, and here's our sources. Here's what the new post says. And let me know if you've seen this one as well. Underneath Donald Trump's tweet or Facebook post, it says, both voting by mail and voting in person have a long history of trustworthiness in the U.S. Voter fraud is extremely rare across voting methods. Source, Bipartisan Policy Center. You're kidding me, right? This is the same group back in 2016 that said the election was completely fraudulent because, Russia and things. And he colluded with Russia, and it was totally rigged. They spent 4 years saying that he was not a legitimate president because it was totally rigged in 2016. There's no way he could have beat the Clinton machine. There's no way he could have toppled that. But yet, now they literally say on there, both voting by mail and voting in person have a history of trustworthiness in the U.S. Voter fraud is extremely rare across voting methods. Wow. Unbelievable. It sometimes just boggles your mind how crazy this actually is. I want to shift gears for just a minute here and have a little fun, just for a second, shall we? So as you know, there is a increase in many individuals that like to play video games. I love to play video games. I don't get a chance to play video games very much, but I love to play them. I am currently in the middle of Skyrim. If you've never played Skyrim, it's on the Xbox, and it's a lot of fun because you're just a Viking just defeating dragons and have a free world to go do whatever the heck you want to do. I've spent over a probably 3-year span, I've sunk probably, 30 hours into the game, and I still have not even started the main mission of it. There's so much to do. It's a lot of fun. I've maybe played it 2 hours in the last year just because I haven't had a chance to do it. But nonetheless, it's a blast. There's a new video game that came out as well that I'm really excited to get, which I will be getting for Christmas. Thank you, Mrs. Voice of Reason, that I just have to wait till Christmas to get with the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Because, again, you get to play the Viking, go do your own thing. The reason I bring it up, regardless of whatever games you like to play, the reason I bring it up is because a question has arisen where I think it's worth speculation and worth some discussion, where they say that video games are now potentially a last boy or a last man sanctuary to be the alpha male. It is very difficult in society nowadays when you have to be the beta male. You have to do the masculinity confession booths. You can't be too masculine to try and actually appeal to the female. You can't actually try and be the hotshot or be the masculine, very tough guy that's doing the construction and showing off in the Levi jeans. You can't do that anymore. It's not okay. That's just being an ultra-masculine jerk, and it's not accepted in society, according to the left-wing progressives. If you remember, maybe you remember, 1,000 years ago in society, it was the norm to toughen up the men. If you remember back in the Roman days and in the Spartan days, the teachers of 6, 7, 8-year-old boys would actually start fights between the boys to take them outside and have them beat each other up to toughen them up a little bit. A little bit different world today, isn't it? Now we get mad because they said something really mean, and it's triggered. But it's in our DNA as men to be more brute, to be more vicious, to be more strong, to be strong-willed, to be tough. That's why I enjoy sports like the UFC, because that's about the last sanctuary that you can actually get that. But some are saying now that the sanctuary to actually focus on that part of the brain for men, for the masculinity, is to play video games like the violent ones. To be able to go on a shooting spree, not because we have shooting sprees in schools, but they've tried to link that. I think that's completely ridiculous, trying to link video games to actual mass shootings, because maybe there's a correlation there. Maybe if the parents aren't there to actually put it into context and be like, this is a video game. This is not real. That's really stupid if you try and take that into reality. So maybe there's a correlation there. But when we have the fighting games and the violent games, the question is it bad for us to be able to view those things, or is it the last sanctuary for men to be the beta or to be the alpha males? It's kind of an interesting thought. And I've been thinking about it for a while, and I'm starting to lean more towards that idea, just for the sole fact that it is very tough now to go out and, just even 100 years ago here in America, the Western expansion, you would have just bar brawls. People get, have a drink, they get upset, they end up taking it outside, and they beat each other up. Great entertainment. Doesn't hurt anybody else at those two. You let them beat each other up, and then you're fine. In the schools, they used to hear the stories about principals that would be like, you two want to fight? All right, put on the boxing gloves in the principal's office, beat each other up, then you can both get suspended. But you know what? You duked it out. And usually by the end of those, they are good friends. Usually by the end of those scenarios, they actually grab each other by the end of it and be like, all right, we're pals because we worked out our differences. The way the world used to be. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. I'm saying that's the way it was. Now, every time there's any type of confrontation in any way, shape, or form, the cops are called, there's an assault case, you have to go through the trials. You're not allowed to do any of it, whether you're a kid or whether you're an adult. Even in Ireland, for crying out loud. They can't have a bar brawl without the cops being called. The times have changed, but yet the DNA of being the alpha male to showing the dominance, not necessarily to bully, but working out differences through a physical manner, it's not allowed anymore. So, is the only outlet for individuals to be able to have that, is it video games? And again, I very rarely like to believe the concept that the video games lead to mass shootings, because I just think it's kids who maybe didn't get it put into context, or they already had mental issues and it exacerbated it to some degree. But I played video games growing up, never went on a shooting spree. Most people did that as well. Most people had guns, never went on a shooting spree. Video games aren't the problem, but is that maybe the outlet for some to actually express their masculinity in some way, shape, or form? I'd like to get your thoughts on this when we come back. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I got to admit, I'm actually relatively surprised on some of the responses coming in. I thought I would be shunned a little bit, or a little kind of rile some people up on that one by advocating for video games and saying that it can actually be the outlet for alpha males, manly men, that sort of thing, to be able to release some of that DNA that's in us. And I thought many people would be like, no, Andy, that's causing violence. It's instilling violence in our brains. But there's a lot of violence in U.S. or in American history, but in world history, and that's just how they toughened them up. Again, like back in the Roman times, the parents and the teachers would just be like, "Oh, you two, hey, let's start a fight. Let's see who wins this one," and throw them out there and around the circle and start hooting and hollering and making it happen. Totally different time. Again, not advocating for that by any means, but that's the way it used to be back in the day. And that's still in our DNA. We still need to be the strong, the breadwinner, the one bringing home, the food, bringing home the wildebeest at the end of the day for the family to try and be that protective one. And while we do that in a way in society nowadays by providing for the family, both women and men doing that, because trust me, there's very many strong women that do the same thing as well. Not saying one gender or another here, but a lot of that is just done in a different way, but yet we still have that DNA instinct, that natural instinct to want to be that alpha to try and dominate or to try and show our dominance over somebody else, whether it's a friend or just a complete stranger. Doesn't really matter. Is that the last outlet when it comes to maybe some of those violent video games? Is that actually a positive as opposed to a negative where everybody says that that's just causing school shootings and all this other garbage? But seeing some of the comments, I just vote we raise alpha males. Agreed. We just make them alpha males. They know how to work. They know how to do physical labor. They know how to do basic things like, change the oil or change the car tire when it pops on the side of the street. You know how to actually fix those things. What a crazy, wild concept. You cannot be Mr. Millennial guy with a long ponytail and a big old beard wearing a plaid shirt and be Mr. Mountain Man and not know how to change the tire on your car if it goes flat on the side of the road. Just throwing a biggest pet peeve. Biggest pet peeve. I was walking through the grocery store, I don't know, a few months ago, almost a year ago now, I think. And there were these three guys, and I burst out laughing in the middle of the grocery store. I had no shame because I did not care. They didn't have any shame, so I had no shame. They were the guys, they were walking, and they had these big burly beards like they were the manly men. They had the man buns going on, which drive me nuts. I mean, I'm growing out my hair a little bit on top, never doing a man bun. Not doing it. They were rocking the big beard and the man bun. They were wearing pink shirts and what is it, like those golf shorts and then flip-flops. Oh yeah, and I think they were at the university or something, I don't know. I literally broke down laughing. Now, I'm walking through, granted, I was not dressed the most appropriate either. I was dressed in sweatpants and a cutoff t-shirt and a camo hat, because my days off, that's what you get from the Voice of Reason. But I walked through and I saw with their pink shirts and their big manly beards and their man buns, and in flip-flops with shorts, like the plaid, like golf shorts, I burst out laughing right in the middle of the store. I almost dropped the bag of apples that I had. I swear, I had never laughed so hard in my life. And they just looked at me. They had no idea what I was laughing at, but I didn't care. I really didn't care. And again, if that's your style, then all the power to you. But don't try to be Mr. Manly Burly Man. And I'm guaranteed that they have no idea how to change the tire of a car if it goes flat on the side of the road. I'm guaranteed they probably have no idea how to change the oil in their vehicle. Maybe I'm misjudging. Maybe I'm just looking at the looks instead of inside the book kind of thing. But yeah, don't try and play that off. Is video games the last sanctuary? Not to mention there was a story that talked about video gaming as actually a benefit as well, because now video games are so intricate with looking for clues, trying to solve different puzzles, the hand-eye coordination stuff. It's much more intricate than just playing Mario, which, by the way, was very difficult as well. But it's so intricate that it actually helps a lot of your motor skills that you usually don't get in other places as well. So there are some other benefits, I think, to it as well. Maybe it's just the millennial in me trying to defend video gaming. But when it goes to a deeper level, the manly men, the alpha male that we need to have back in society that is being shunned by the progressive left when you have masculinity confession booths, if they heard that you played a violent video game, then they would lose their minds. And they would think you're going to be the next shooter in a public school, when that's not the case. And while video games are trying to be the scapegoat for many to try and blame for school shootings across the nation, I think it's bogus. I think it is the last sanctuary for many to actually get that DNA out of themselves, to actually feel being the dominant, being the testosterone building. Now, there's other ways to do it, obviously, as well. Go work on the car, go work outside, go actually work some physical labor, and you can feel the dominance. But to actually get some of that out, I think there is an outlet for it. My personal opinion, you can always email me, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Let me know your thoughts on this. I want to do some more topics like this because we're not just about politics, we're about societal building here on the show, and we want to have a deep conversation about the pros and cons of all this and more. Podcast going up in a little bit. We have a lot of more guests coming up tomorrow. Congressman Bob Latta, he'll do his monthly join from the great state of Ohio. Looking forward to chatting with him. Until then, be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Everybody have a wonderful Wednesday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.